make. Of course, the Lady Gators gymnastics is taking off. For those of you that follow gymnastics, the Lady Gators are ranked number 2 in the country. And Meldon Law, because we are the only official injury law firm partner of the Florida Gators, is able to score tickets to these sold out events. We're giving away a package of 4 tickets plus a $100 gift certificate to Harry's Bar and Grill. For whoever enters, all you have to do is go to our Facebook page, Meldon Law, and you will be able to enter the contest. And we've gotten tremendous response. As a special, we're also giving away 2 more tickets with a $50 gift certificate. So you have 2 chances to win. So go to Meldon Law Facebook page and you can win this fabulous package and see the Lady Gators. These, the Lady Gator gymnastics are an example of what you're going to see in the Olympics coming up, because several of the members of the team are going to be in the Olympics representing the United States. So this is a really exciting time for us. In addition, the men's basketball team is really doing a great job as far as showing up, and we won a big game overtime recently. So stay in touch with us for men's basketball giveaway upcoming January 16th, Mississippi State. Again, we have a package of 4 tickets and a $100 gift certificate to Harry's Bar and Grill, as well as a $50 gift certificate with a package of 2 tickets. And on January 22nd, Vanderbilt is coming to town, and we have another package of 4 tickets and a $100 gift certificate, plus a package of 2 tickets and a $50 gift certificate to Harry's Bar and Grill. So please take advantage of it. We're broadcasting from Spurrier's Gridiron Grill right now, and if those of you that have been here know, it's an amazing museum and also a great restaurant. The combination is unbeatable. So come out and visit our friends at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. It's in Gainesville at Celebration Point. Today we have some excellent guests. Our good friends from MileMark, which are website developers and partners from Meldon Law are here. We have Russel Greenstein along with Mark Weinstock. How are you gentlemen doing today?
Hey, we're doing pretty good. Thanks for having us.
Yep, thank you.
Now, you're out here at the Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. What's your impression of this amazing place?
Well, this place is unbelievable. I've never been to a restaurant like it. I can't wait to try the food, but just walking around the place, there's really amazing trophies, rings, all these awards. It's really very impressive to see.
Yeah. So anyhow, we have a lot of viewers and listeners to the show, and many of them go to websites, but they don't know what goes on behind the scenes. Can you tell us a little bit about the origins of MileMark, your background, and kind of let's get the show started as far as what a website developer company is all about?
Sure. Well, I guess we can start. Both Russell and I worked together for a number of years, and we came from a national marketing company. I was there actually for 19 years. Actually, I started with them before the internet even was launched. So it was a book company, but they quickly migrated their early adopter into web marketing, and was there for 19 years, and might have still been there. But fate had it that they sold the company, and all of a sudden decided, what are we going to do? And Russell and I and a third partner, Jay, decided to form this company. We're a boutique. We've been in the business I've been 20 years plus, and said, why not stick with something that we knew, which was legal marketing and law firm marketing. And so we formed this company. We're a boutique marketing firm, and we started in Florida. Russell lives down in South Florida. I'm in Tampa. And we started in Florida, but now we're in 39 states across the country, typically working with small consumer-facing firms that don't have the resource to have an old in-house marketing department and needs a turnkey solution where we can customize their solutions for what they want, whether it's website design, development, social media, search engine optimization, AdWords, you name it. We can customize it based on their needs, their budgets, and try to maximize visibility for them on the web.
Now, in developing a website for a law firm, how do you start? What are some of the things that you do when you initially interview a law firm and try to figure out what the next step is?
So the first thing that we need to do is determine what makes the law firm different from the other lawyer that's down the street. So we understand the lawyer's experience, the practice areas, the goals, the targets that he's trying to attract, and then we develop a strategy. The first part of the strategy would be the design of the website. What's going to separate your website, from the lawyer down the street? Accolades, case results, reviews. We put that into website design. And then when we deploy the marketing strategy, it's all about putting your website in front of people that have the propensity to retain you for your services.
So what are some?
I'm sorry, Jeff. We want to also make sure that we're personalizing. There are so many websites out there, and certainly in the legal vertical, a lot of sites can look the same. So the more we can personalize the website to cater to whether it's the colors or the images, or they want something more contemporary or old school, we want to make sure that when you have a website, it's basically the first time someone's virtually walking through the front door of that law firm. So it's the same as your lobby at your office. You want to make a certain impression. So we want to focus heavily on what that impression is going to be and try to capture the vision that the firm has and how they want to be portrayed from a perception standpoint.
Mark, is it fair to say that these principles apply to our viewers and listeners who have companies that aren't law firms?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Your website is like, Jimmy Buffett says, like Margarita, where is it? Anywhere you want to be. You can be anything you want to be on the internet. So no matter what type of business you have or what your service or your clientele may be, it can be customized to fit that vision. And like any website, whether it's services or sporting goods, you want to make sure that you do everything you can to certainly find your website. And once they're there, spend time and hopefully pick up the phone or stop by or send an email and get conversions. So it's having people find your website and then driving conversions from that site in the form of activity.
And how does having a unique value proposition or a unique selling proposition assist in driving people to the website?
In this market where it's incredibly competitive, you need to really have that vision that's different than another lawyer or another business that's down the street. So the idea is to separate yourself in reality by creating this custom designed website and marketing strategy that's going to really target and get you in front of those ideal clients.
What are the things that Google, who is the #1 search engine in the world, what are some of the things they're looking for, whether it's a law firm or any business, as far as ranking high for a Google search?
There's a lot of moving parts to a search engine optimization strategy. Think of it like a car engine or an automatic watch. It's not just one thing that you do, it's a combination of everything working together. Some of those things could be the content that's on the website, how fast the website loads, the title tags, the metadata, the URL, the way that the site is indexed, the sitemap. Those are just a few of the things that go into putting together an effective strategy.
Yeah, and Google is certainly, we are at Google's mercy, Jeff. I mean, there's no way around it. They have about 73% of the market share when it comes to search engines. So they've every web provider like us and anyone else that does what we do, you have to stay on top. Google will change their algorithms about 500 times a year to keep people on their toes, so you can't try to cheat the system. But one thing that's been a constant for a number of years now is there's two major drivers for website SEO. One's going to be content. Google loves content. They want to see fresh content. They want to see a frequency of content. They want to see a certain number of words on the page. And they don't want a static website. And the second thing that Google wants is who is driving traffic to that website? What links are on the back end? You hear the term backlinks. back, University of Florida, if you have a mention of your website on the University of Florida's website, that's a very powerful link because it's a .edu, which is a hard domain to have linking back to a website. So the more of these high authority, they call them, trustworthy websites that link back to your website, you in turn, your authority of your individual website, whether you're a law firm or any other business, will go up. And relatively speaking, the higher your authority is versus your competition is going to dictate how you rank. So our goal is to move the needle on authority through all these best practices. And then if we can move the needle to a point where we're above or exceed our competition, we're going to rank better in the long run.
So what are strategies for, say I own a restaurant and I want to figure out a way to get some backlinks. What's an example of a strategy that, a business owner can utilize to increase their authority with Google?
They could contact local media companies to get an inbound link, contact various directories on the web, Yelp, even Google My Business, Yahoo Maps, Bing Maps, Apple Maps. Those are all links that head back to the website. So I would start off with some of the major directories and citations.
And
you were talking, yeah, go ahead, Mark.
I would also just piggyback on that. I mean, and certainly there's a lot of regional directories. And so, on Google, there's a map section of Google, the map, the map pack, and then you have the organic. That map section is dictated by local businesses. So the more visibility you have on regional publications, whether it's, City Search or Info USA, Yellow Pages, etc., the more places that your business shows up with contact information and just overall information about what that business does will help, your position, along with reviews. Reviews is something we can talk more about, but reviews are critical these days in the eyes of Google. So as a local business, you have higher number of reviews that's going to help dictate your position.
We were talking about what the overall goal is of Google as far as, user experience. Could you just address that for a minute?
So when you think about Google's job, their one job is to give the searcher the best experience possible. And that comes from the content that's on the website, how fast the website loads. It comes from the frequency of content that's on the website. It comes from other directories that are pointing to your website. There's so many different factors that play into that.
So Google, if you're developing a website, the starting point is to think of you, the consumer, who are, say, I'm using the example of a restaurant. What if somebody wants to find a good restaurant near them? What is it about your particular business that's going to attract somebody, and what information can Google provide so you make the best choice? Is that how it works?
Yeah, I think psychologically, consumers feel like if it's on the first page of Google, it must be the right choice because they're on the first page of Google. So, I mean, I know it's not 100% accurate because, of course, if you effectively optimize a restaurant's website, you can be on page one, but psychologically thinking, that's why rankings are so important, because if you're not on page one, 72% of the people are not going to ever see your website to begin with, to even consider you.
Gentlemen, this is an exciting interview. We're going to take a 60-second break, and we will be back on Meldon Law and Friends.
We are here at the University of Florida, where Albert and Alberta are competing in the Gator penalty shootout. Albert is ready to stop the shot at all costs. What a disaster! Luckily, Meldon Law is the only official law firm partner of the Florida Gators. If you have suffered any injury, do not worry, because Meldon Law is going to help you with your recovery. Meldon Law doesn't back down until they reach their goal.
We still hear it. The sound of victory. The joy of being part of something great. And while things may not be the same right now, we haven't gone anywhere. If you bleed orange and blue, then Meldon Law is the firm for you.
Welcome back to Meldon Law and Friends. I'm Jeffrey Meldon, attorney and founder of Meldon Law. We have a great show today. I want to remind everybody that we also have a live call-in radio show every Saturday morning on WSKY The Sky 97.3. Tune in Saturday mornings, 10:30. We love to hear from you. And the show is entering its 20th year on the air. So we're very proud of that. It's the largest legal affairs radio show in the Southeast United States. Continuous on the air every Saturday for 20 years. And I'll tell you, there's some Saturdays when it was hard waking up, but we've continued to make it fun and exciting. Our podcast now is almost a year and a quarter, and we're entering our something like 67th, 68th show. So we're very excited that Meldon Law and Friends is also entering the realm of a regular featured program presented by Meldon Law for everybody to learn. And segueing into that, we have these great guests who happen to be our webmasters, Russel Greenstein and Mark Weinstock, who help us at Meldon Law figure out strategies so we can provide the best information for people that are looking for legal services. The same principles apply whether you're in a restaurant business or you're selling clothes or anything else. People use the web more and more now than they've ever used it to search for whatever services they're interested in. Gentlemen, what are some of the trends that you see in 2022 as far as website and the usage around the world?
Keep getting reviews. There's a lot of people out there that strictly look up businesses based upon the reviews that are on there. Google reviews, Yelp, Facebook reviews. That's something that's definitely critical, and you should never take your foot off the gas pedal in terms of getting more. Don't get stagnant. The next thing is, content. Content comes in all shapes and forms. You could have content in the form of videos. It could be radio shows, podcasts, text, contextual content. That's something that's going to continue to keep your website unique and separate you from the competition. What's changing now is that the search engines are looking for more easy reading content. It doesn't have to be, hey, what does the search engine want? It's what's going to give the user the best experience. So write naturally for the websites.
So if I have a business and I want to increase my content, what you're suggesting is write stories about what's going on in the business, something that a consumer looking for a good, whether it's a store or a restaurant, whatever the business is, talk about your business and write naturally versus some carefully designed strategy to attract Google. In the old days, you used to fill it with certain keywords, right? And all it would be is, we're a lawyer in Gainesville, Florida. And by the way, if you live in Gainesville, Florida, and you want a lawyer, come to us because we're going to provide great legal services for you. And what you're saying is that kind of content is becoming obsolete.
Google's gotten very smart. Doesn't work it's not as easy as it used to be. But yes, content, you're absolutely right, Jeff. Certainly, a lot of it is it's the frequency of content, but it's also the subject matter and the topics. Certainly people have short attention spans. So if they come across something that catches their eye, they're more inclined to sit there and read it. So titles of the blogs is very beneficial, and the formats of where that content is. It's not just on the web. It's going to be on all the social media platforms. That's where a huge continues to evolve. But years ago it was just Facebook, and then LinkedIn, and then Instagram comes along, and now it's Snapchat and TikTok videos, and there's just so many mediums out there, and those are certain industries were certainly probably generated more business through social media and branding than others. But even in the legal profession now, that's becoming where that, Instagram is now important. TikTok's become important. So every industry is impacted by social media these days. And that's another place to put your content. It's just any type of content can be helpful, whether it's a 30-second video or a 400-page blog. These are all beneficial from a content standpoint.
So if somebody has a restaurant, if they tell everyday stories about an experience that happened, that's something that now has more value than it might have a long time ago.
Feature meals, take pictures, push out that content to the social networks, put it out onto the website, and even your Google My Business listing, which is a free listing that you can get directly from Google.
And what are some of the suggestions you have as far as getting a website built and started? I know for lawyers, we always tell them go to MileMark because you guys do a great job. What if, I got a little clothing store? How would you go about searching for somebody to help you develop a website?
Well, I would ideally, no matter what industry, if you can find a company, a provider that focuses as a niche in that industry, that would be beneficial. So, if you have a retailer, I'd find, maybe some other retail sites that you've seen that you're impressed with. Because even like in our profession, as you know, we work only with lawyers. So we know what goes into best practices when doing a law firm website. It's going to be different if I have a pizza shop at the end of the street. But a couple other things to keep in mind. The websites themselves, ideally, you want to have a custom website as opposed to like a template or do-it-yourself website. By having a template site, you're limiting your potential because you're in a basically imaginary border around that website that's going to limit how well you can rank. So technically, there is some things to consider when it comes to your website. But having someone from a content standpoint that can help you with content, since content's so important, that's critical because you need to not just have great images, but you got to have content on the back end to help rank that website. So find someone that's in that industry, is familiar with it, and you've seen some of their work, so you can verify that they know what they're doing.
And how would you go about finding them?
Well, I know a lot of our clients come to us because they see other work that we've done, or they go to do a search. One thing you'd start with is do a search on Google and find out who's showing up there from an SEO, so if you see certain businesses that are the web provider for that company and they're ranking very well, that's a good starting point because they're obviously doing some of the right things to get there. And so that's a good starting point. And then I would go into their individual websites and evaluate their portfolio and see, if you like the look and feel or their style and how well it's customized. So I would start with doing Google searches and check out a competitive analysis of who's performing, because they're probably doing a lot of the right things that they would do on your behalf as well. I would also check with the company to see who else they're working with, because you don't want to have, a web provider working with 10 of your competitors in the same market, because not everybody can be happy, Jeff, at that point. There's only 10 spots on the organic section. There's 3 spots in the map. So ideally, like someone like us, we limit how many firms we work with because we want to make sure that all of our clients can perform and be on page one. We limit ourselves purposely, intentionally, because we need to generate, performance. And you can't have 15 people all doing the same thing in the same market, whether I'm a restaurant or an accounting service, and rank.
Russell, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, there's, in addition to doing Google searches and finding out who is a leader in the industry, another thing that you can do is actually build a website yourself. And so where do you go there? So the first thing to do would look up a WordPress website. A WordPress, you could have a custom theme or a template where, as a business owner, if you don't have a lot of time, you could do a plug and play and create the website and download, photos, and then you could write a little bit of content just to get something up there. So if you're a brand new restaurant or a brand new hair salon and you want to have a nice website, but you may not have the resources to spend a lot of money right from the outset on a full custom website, there are services out there like WordPress and Squarespace that you can create your own site.
And sometimes at the bottom of the home page, you'll see who's the webmaster, right? On websites. Is that a strategy you might employ? Go to page one and then go to their website and then go to the bottom and see who's doing their webmaster work?
Absolutely. And that's kind of exactly, you do a search for someone, you do whatever industry it may be, take a look at the websites. Most websites will have a mention of the web provider at the bottom. It's kind of our signature, just like a piece of art on the wall. So look to see who did that. And then you can usually, there's a link right into that company's website off the bottom sometimes that you can drill right into, or just go to Google and search for it. But that's why most web providers put their name in the bottom, because that's the only way that's our signature. Everything we're doing is proprietary, and that's how you find out, who the author is behind it.
Yeah, it's interesting. It is like an artist, because what you do is art. It's customized to each individual business, and what works for one law firm or in one city may not translate completely to another market.
Absolutely. One of the things that we do as a best practice is whenever we have a market that we're, have a new client, we do a competitive analysis of the landscape. And because you'll find that top performing websites will have some similarities in the back end of who's linking back to them. A good example is down in Miami. We noticed that a lot of the top performing sites had a link on Miami Heat's business page of their website. So for $500, you can buy a link on the Miami Heat's website and link it back to your individual business website. And so one of our link building strategies was to make sure that we bought links like that for our South Florida clients.
Well, a lot of people want to know about websites, because the fact is it's only growing. Do you see a huge trend as far as the number of people using websites to find goods and services?
Yeah, over 90% of people out there do research on the internet to determine what the best service is, whether it's a restaurant, it could be a product or a good, or going to Best Buy and looking at the reviews, or even looking up law firms. People do go right to the internet. And the majority of searches are actually now done on a mobile device. So that could be your iPhone. A Droid is actually generating more search traffic than laptops and desktops.
Again, I'm talking with Russel Greenstein and Mark Weinstock from MileMark. And as long as you're not in the Meldon Law market, please contact MileMark if you are a law firm, because they do great work. And we've been very, very pleased to have you as a guest on Meldon Law and Friends. And we look forward to having you back, because this has been a fascinating conversation. And thank you again for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks,
We're glad
Jeff.
to
We
be
appreciate
here.
it.
See ya. Okay, we are ready to take a 3-minute break, and we'll be back on Meldon Law and Friends.
When you're a member of the Gator Nation, you know what it means to never back down. Meldon Law has been a proud supporter of the Gator Nation since 1971. Two forces that won't back down. As the old saying goes, if you can't beat 'em, join 'em. Albert, Alberta, I understand you were witnesses to a crash. Can you tell us about the accident? When you're in a crash, it's important to get witness statements immediately after the accident. Whether you're in a car, truck, motorcycle, scooter, or even a golf cart accident, at Meldon Law, we won't back down. The Gator Nation will be the first to tell you that in all kinds of weather, we all stick together, which is why Meldon Law is honored to be the only official law firm partner of the Florida Gators. We hope you never find yourself the victim of a serious accident, but if you do, our team is here for you. Gators won't back down from a fight, and neither do we.
Oh my gosh, I can't even believe this. Look, Look what you have done to my truck!
Excuse me, it's your fault, it's not my fault.
Yes, it is your
No,
fault!
it's not. No,
I am
it's not.
calling Jeffrey Meldon from Meldon Law.
So I'm gonna call Jeffrey, my husband.
Meldon Law, this is Jeffrey speaking.
This crazy
no,
lady
wait,
here,
honey.
this crazy lady, he might...
New client? Yes, but this one might be a little tricky. We still hear it. The sound of victory. The joy of being part of something great. And while things may not be the same right now, we haven't gone anywhere. If you bleed orange and blue, then Meldon Law is the firm for you.
We are here at the University of Florida, where Albert and Alberta are competing in the Gator penalty shootout. Albert is ready to stop the shot at all costs. What a disaster! Luckily, Meldon Law is the only official law firm partner of the Florida Gators. If you have suffered any injury, do not worry, because Meldon Law is going to help you with your recovery. Meldon Law doesn't back down until they reach their goal.
Welcome back to Meldon Law and Friends, our weekly podcast from Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, which is such an exciting place. We love having our podcast here. It's really fun. And for those of you that have not been here yet, make a point. It's at Celebration Point in Gainesville, Florida, and it's worth the drive. If you're not from Gainesville, people are actually coming from all over the country to check it out. It's a museum, it's a restaurant, and it's an experience that you want to have. Again, I want to remind everybody, go to Meldon Law's Facebook page. We're giving away tickets to this week's gymnastic event, Lady Gators #2 in the country. And with the lineup that they have and the performance that they had, they are very likely to be #1 in the country soon. They have Olympic caliber athletes. So we're giving away 4 tickets to the gymnastic event this coming Sunday against Alabama 245. And we're also giving away a package of 2 tickets. And with the package of 4, we have a $100 gift certificate to Harry's Seafood Bar and Grill. And with the $50, with the 2 tickets, we have the ad for the free ticket giveaway, and we try to make it fun and easy. We're also giving away tickets to the men's basketball game January 19th with Mississippi State and January 22nd with Vanderbilt. Our second guest today is Louis Stokes, who is the big honcho at Cape Country, and we want to welcome you. How are you doing today, Louis?
Well, it's a beautiful day today. It's a great day to be a Florida Gator, and I'm so excited to be talking to you, Jeffrey.
Yeah, well, I see you're wearing a Gator hat, so you must be an incredibly smart human being.
Thank you.
So, Louis, I want to start in the beginning. How did you get into the radio business?
It was back in 1980, about 42 years ago. I got started in radio. I was 16 years old. I was a junior in high school, and I got the job by accident totally. My brother-in-law owned a car dealership in Lake City, and he was recording a commercial onto a reel-to-reel deck. And I was at his house watching him record the commercial and read the script, and he kept messing up, and I laughed at him. He threw the script at me, and he said, "Why don't you try it then?" So I took the microphone, read the script. We jumped into his car, ran to the radio station, knocked on the door. The night DJ took the tape, and he told the DJ, "Use the best cut on the tape," meaning his voice. Well, the night DJ used my voice. And then the station owner the next day called my brother-in-law and said, "Who's that new voice on your commercial?" And he said, "I don't have a new voice." He said, "Yes, you do." And then he figured out it was me. the owner of the radio station said, well, tell him to come by the radio station and we may have a job for him. And I was working there the next day. And
Wow.
Here I am. Yeah.
And how about your brother?
My brother-in-law, yeah,
Brother-in-law.
Yeah, brother-in-law. Yeah, he basically is the guy that got me into radio just by a fluke, by being on his commercial by mistake. So here I am.
That's really interesting. Now, what town were you in when you got into radio?
That was in Lake City, Florida, just north of Gainesville, a little bitty radio station there. And I've been to Maine and Jacksonville and here at K Country for 28 years now. So it's been a good long run.
Tell us a little bit about the history of K Country.
Yeah, K Country used to be Z93, a top 40 station, and rumor had it was going country back in 1994. And all the DJs were leaving the radio station because they didn't want to work at a country station. I found out about the rumor. I applied for a job there at Z93, gambling that it would be a country station because I love country music. And sure enough, about 2 months later, it switched to K Country, March 11th, 1994. And I was the first DJ on K Country at 5 p.m. playing the national anthem. So, and I've been here ever since.
Wow. Tell us about the reach of the station. How many people do you reach?
Well, we have 100,000 watts. That's the most power that the FCC will allow a radio station to have. And that means we broadcast from Jacksonville to Orlando, to Daytona Beach, to Cedar Key. We cover a huge area, probably 100,000 or more potential listeners in that area. Our tower is actually taller than the Empire State Building. We've had skydivers base jump off that antenna, and we've had to send a law after them. So.
Where's the antenna located?
It's in Anthony. John Travolta sometimes flies his jet over our antenna when he lands at his house in Anthony. I've seen that before when he flies his jet over. So
how tall is your antenna?
It is over 50. It's taller than the Empire State Building, so it's about 1,500 feet or more, something like that. So pretty tall.
Wow. Well, and so that really helps the reach of the station, right? Having it centrally located and also tall. And so those are things that really help. So I want to hear a little bit about, what is it like, the day-to-day stuff of being in the radio business?
Yeah, day to day, being on the radio, when I get here about 8 o'clock in the morning, and I prepare for my show for about an hour and a half. And then I spend another bit of time putting commercials together, recording commercials in the recording studio. Then I go on the radio from 10 to 3. And then when I get off the radio at 3, I'm doing more commercials, more production work, then do personal appearances, charity events, and get out and about in the community, chamber mixers, and like the grand opening of your Ocala office. I was at that. Had a great time with Coach Spurrier and you and Albert and Alberta. That was wonderful, that event you put on.
Well, thanks a lot. It was fun. And, we consider it a great honor to be, the only official injury law firm partner of the Gators, because when you live in Gator country, I mean, what more can you wish for, right?
Right. And I love being a radio guy. I love the TV commercials too. Those are some of the funniest commercials you put together, and really enjoy those. You do a great job.
Well, thank you. I kind of follow the lead of the insurance industry because, when you turn on TV, you see more Geico and Progressive ads and State Farm and Liberty Mutual ads, and you also see a lot of lawyer ads, right? So, and then you see a lot of people, a lot of car salesman ads, right? Selling cars. So in some ways, if you're in the personal injury law business, right, the car is the kind of central theme of all of those businesses, right?
Yeah, or a golf cart.
Yeah, or a golf cart, whatever.
I saw that one.
Well, you know what? I think when people turn on TV, they appreciate, or radio, listening to radio, they appreciate some humor because
Yes.
There's enough serious stuff that goes on in our lives that laughter sometimes makes us feel a little healthier.
I totally agree. It's good for the soul, no doubt.
Yeah. What do you do on K Country to help people laugh?
Well, I always try to find stories on the internet or wherever I can that people can relate to. I like talking about eating junk food or like Burger King's coming out with this new burger, or just stuff that off the wall that people I think can relate to, or some drink is coming out that people want to try, or I'll tell a story from my own life, my life experiences growing up in Williston. I used to dream about being a radio DJ when I was a little kid. When I was 8 or 9 years old, I used to pretend to be a DJ, and just to be able to grow up and broadcast into my hometown now on K Country. I mean, I'm living the dream, being on the radio on K Country.
So when you were a little kid, what radio stations were you able to listen to?
Oh, wow. Yeah. WDVH. That was the AM country station I used to listen to. I used to listen to RUF back in the day, and the talk shows at night. And actually, one of the DJs, Ralph Hipp, who was at WRUF, he kind of was my role model and inspired me to want to get into radio. I saw him do a speech one time in Archer back in 1976 at the Bicentennial. And when he spoke, I said, man, I would love to be in radio one day. And then about 4 years later, in 1980, got into radio.
I know that a lot of people have access now to other mediums besides radio. Mm-hmm. What do you see as far as the future of radio, and how many people are listening to radio? What do you call it? Terrestrial radio or something? Yes. So the kind of when you're in your car and you turn on your local radio station, and people now though they can go on other kinds of sources like Spotify and get music. Sure. What do you see as some of the trends that are going on with all of that? Well, in radio, we know we have a lot of competition from Spotify and other streaming services, YouTube and all that, but you can't beat live and local with local radio. When you turn on the radio, 93.7 K Country, you can find out about that traffic accident on University in Maine that you're not going to find anywhere else. You're going to find out about that local concert when Garth Brooks comes to the stadium or something like that, or changes in the weather, hurricanes coming. You can't get that on those other platforms. So to me, live and local is always going to win. And I think the research and the surveys bear that out, that radio is still strong, still viable, and people do still listen to the radio. I can attest to that. Yeah, I know that, I think TV has greater challenges than radio because of what you're talking about, live and local versus with TV. If you can get the same TV program through a source that's less expensive, and then so the challenges in TV may be greater as far as the local stations versus what's going on with radio. Mm-hmm. I agree, and like I said, with the radio, it's free. You don't have to pay anything.
And I'm going to entertain you as best I can too when I'm on the radio.
Well, that's really, interesting. I think that I've always loved radio. When I drive in my car, I turn on the local radio. I want to hear what's going on in the community. And I think that the time you spend preparing for the show to make it more informative, more entertaining is really something that the listeners rely on. I know a lot of people, not only in their car, when they get to work or when they are at home, they're turning on the radio. So we appreciate your hard work.
All right.
Anyhow, we are going to take a 1-minute break. You know about this, Louis, because you're in the business. So this is Meldon Law and Friends. I'm Jeffrey Meldon. We're going to be back in 1 minute.
Albert, Alberta, I understand you were witnesses to a crash. Can you tell us about the accident? When you're in a crash, it's important to get witness statements immediately after the accident. Whether you're in a car, truck, motorcycle, scooter, or even a golf cart accident, at Meldon Law, we won't back down. We still hear it. The sound of victory. The joy of being part of something great. And while things may not be the same right now, we haven't gone anywhere. If you bleed orange and blue, then Meldon Law is the firm for you.
Welcome back to Meldon Law and Friends. We are here with Louis Stokes, who is the program director at K Country. Is that correct, Louis?
My program director probably wouldn't like that. I'm the production director. So
Director.
I put in midday announcer. Yeah.
Okay. Well, anyhow, we're very glad to have you on as our guest. And one of the things that I'm interested in is some of the inside stories. What are some funny or interesting stories you can share with our viewers and listeners about the radio and your experience?
Yeah, so many stories come to mind. Practical jokes where other DJs try to make you laugh on the radio when you say that they can't make you laugh. I remember one time I was at the radio station in Lake City, and I was pretty bragging on myself. I was young and confident, and I said, nobody can make me laugh on the radio. I can keep a straight face. And so one evening I was reading this serious story about, like a death or something like that. And all of a sudden I see this streaker go by the plexiglass in front of me, went right by me. And I just burst out laughing during that serious story. And it was terrible. My boss called, and the family that was involved in the tragedy called and was so upset. And I was just, oh my goodness. But he got me. He made me laugh on the radio. So, and I guess another backstage thing is going backstage to concerts. A lot of people will ask me who's the nicest person backstage at a concert. And hands down, it's Garth Brooks. He is one of the nicest, accommodating, friendly people you'll ever meet backstage. He makes you feel like you're the only person in the world at that moment when you're back there with him. And a funny story, Jeffrey, back in 1990, Garth was at the O'Connell Center back when it had an inflatable roof back in the day.
Yeah.
And I was escorted backstage to meet Garth Brooks. And there's this guy standing outside the door. He looked like a cool dude. And as I got closer and looked him in the eye, it was Billy Joel. And Billy Joel was standing outside Garth's dressing room in Gainesville, looked me in the eye, nodded at me, because I was like that. And he gave me that look like, yes, I'm Billy Joel. This is before you had the cell phone camera and you could take a picture and do all that. So I couldn't capture a selfie with him. Then I went in to meet Garth Brooks and hung out with him for about 15 minutes. And then Billy Joel came in, and Billy Joel performed at that concert that night on the grand piano at the concert at the O'Connell Center. I'll never forget that.
Yeah, Garth Brooks, I think, revolutionized performance for country art. You know,
took it to another level.
He did. I mean, country artists. You know, I've always been a fan of country music, and I remember going to the Grand Ole Opry 40, 50 years ago, and you know, seeing it in its original state and all that. And,
yes.
And you know, it was pretty cool. And country, I've always enjoyed country shows. Back in the 1970s, I owned the Great Southern Music Hall, and
yeah, I remember that.
So our first show was Earl Scruggs and Lester Flatt. Okay.
Yeah, it's Beverly Hillbillies. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
they did the theme.
They, you know, yeah. I mean, those guys were consummate professionals, and were really nice. We had them, I think, two shows on Friday night and 2 shows on Saturday night. They sold out the house, and wow. they were so nice. And for Gainesville, it was a big deal because anybody that, you know, had listened to country music, you know, knew that they were legends.
Yes, they were.
And they, you know, they really impressed me as far as their not only their performance, how nice they were. I got to meet them backstage, and you know, really enjoyed the way that they helped us open up the station. I've always been a big fan of country music, and I'm married right now, but when I was single a while back, I dated a girl who knew a lot about country music. And so for about a year, I listened to nothing but country music. And that's the best way to learn about country music, right?
You do what you got to do. So I enjoy your Tom Petty stories that I've heard you tell as well. That just intrigues me when you tell me about his first contract that was signed and performing at Dubs and just all those great stories. And just the fact that Tom Petty came from Gainesville is cool to me. It's just the greatest.
Well, so one of my favorite Tom Petty stories is I'm a young lawyer. Tom Petty and I had worked on the Mudcrutch festivals together. And so when I opened up my office, you know, I said, Tom, you know, I'd like to help you. He said, well, I'd like you to help me, Jeffrey. So we came in. I said, what do you want to do? He said, well, I want to get some live performing gigs. You know, he had been working at Dubs. He wanted to expand a little bit. So the first gig I got him was the Holiday Inn in Lake City.
Wow, okay. Where I started in radio.
So, you know, it's right on US 90 and I-75 there. And if you'll remember, they had a pretty hot little room there, right?
Yeah, I've been in that room.
And so anyhow, I got him a week gig there with, it was with Mudcrutch at the time. This must have been 1971 and 2.
Wow.
And so they go up there, and after a little while, I'm saying, well, how's it going up there? You know, and he said, well, you know, the crowd's great. We're really having a good time and all of that. He said, however, the manager of the club there only wants us to play top 40 songs, which was, you know, at a Holiday Inn bar. And, you know, that's what they would want, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I said, well, how are you dealing with that, Tom? He says, well, whenever we want to play one of our own songs, what we tell them is, here's a new top 40 hit that just came out. It's called, you know, whatever, right. You know, and then that's how they got around the club owner giving them a hard time about playing their own music.
That's great. And, that's a good story.
Yeah. So anyhow, Tom Petty, certainly had his roots in country.
Yes.
Being from Gainesville, and I know he was heavily influenced by, Elvis, who again had his roots in country and
Love Elvis.
yeah,
Mhm.
rhythm and blues and country, and the origins of rock and roll, I think, are deeply rooted in country.
Oh, yeah.
Rhythm and blues. There's some jazz involved, and for me, I think the first country artist that I really, got hooked on was Hank Williams. And
Yeah.
Hank, what do you think about Hank's influence as far as, taking country and kind of moving it into a more mainstream level?
We consider him one of our pioneers, one of our forefathers, because he kind of took it from the rural kind of country, just country only, to a broad popular listening where anybody could enjoy that music and those songs, and everybody could relate to Hank Williams songs. I'm so lonesome, I could cry, you're cheating hard. All those songs. He was way ahead of his time, Jeffrey, no doubt.
Yeah, and then fast forward 20 years or so, Dolly Parton, I think, was another important figure in spreading country music.
Yes. I agree. Her and Kenny Rogers, when they were together and did Islands in the Stream, I thought that took country back into the mainstream again, just like Garth Brooks did, brought country into the mainstream where everybody enjoyed it and listened to it.
Yeah, I saw Kenny Rogers when he was with First Edition.
Yes.
And that was kind of a mainstream group, right?
Yes.
And then all of a sudden, he kind of came onto the scene big time.
Yeah.
And what I do find interesting is, my former law partner, Peter Laird, has represented Dolly Parton for 40 years.
Wow.
And of all the artists that he represents, he said, she's the nicest down home lady, never gets, uppity or, short with him or anything else. Is always respectful. And, I think maybe, you see that sometimes with the top artists. Sometimes, they're the nicest people in the world. And, it's good to hear that.
They really are. And I think that's why I like being in country music, because when I go and meet these artists out on the road, they are the nicest, down to earth, welcoming people. They open their arms and they welcome you. And that you can't find that in many other formats of music. So
yeah, and I think that contributes to their success in a great way.
I agree.
So anyhow, we're nearing the end of the show here on Meldon Law and Friends. I want to thank Louis Stokes from K Country. And I know that our viewers and listeners enjoyed this show. And we'll be back next week on Meldon Law and Friends. Go Gators!